So I am going to hand this over to Sarah in a minute. This week's theme for art is Gaelic or Celtic Irish art, ranging from 1000 BC to contemporary art, street art, actually. So I'm going to send it on over. Sarah, happy St. Patrick's Day.
Hi, everyone. Happy St. Patty's Day. So yes, in honor of St. Patrick's Day, we are going to be talking about Celtic art. Let me just get this started. So Celtic art is associated with the people known as the Celts, who spoke the Celtic languages in Europe from prehistory through the modern period. Celtic art is kind of a difficult term to define, covering a huge expanse of time, geography, and cultures. Archaeologists generally use Celtic to refer to the culture from around 1000 BC onwards. So we have these energetic circular forms and spirals, and these are very characteristic. Typically, early Celtic art avoided straight lines and only occasionally used symmetry. Celtic art is unlike other ancient arts that were more pictorial. People, places, and things such as the Egyptians and the Etruscans, which we covered in Art Talk number 80 at the start of January. Evolving from those circular forms and spirals that we just looked at, around 1000 CE, Celtic traditions produced a form of knot-like patterns. Celtic art consists of geometrics such as spirals, key patterns, and these interlacing patterns like looping, braiding, and knotting, which were skills also associated with sailing vessels, which makes sense since Ireland is surrounded by water. What's interesting is that these Celtic knots became part of their art as well as their literature in a way. Interlaced geometric motifs became a fundamental part of manuscripts, particularly in the work of Irish Celtic monks. The Book of Kells was created around 1000 CE. The rich and gilded borders include many examples of braided and knotted designs that also appear on Celtic crosses and monuments throughout Ireland. So speaking of the Celtic cross, it's a form of the High Christian cross that featured a ring within the crossbars. The form gained popularity during the Celtic revival of the 19th century. The name Celtic cross dates from that time. And the shape, usually decorated with geometric motifs, became popular for funeral monuments and other uses and has remained so, spreading well beyond Ireland. Popular legend in Ireland says that the Christian cross was introduced by St. Patrick, or possibly St. Declan, though there are no examples from this early period. But it's often been claimed that Patrick combined the symbol of Christianity with the sun cross to give pagan followers an idea of the importance of the cross. So here are a few examples of Celtic knots to include mythical beasts and animals, and it was part of the culture of the Middle Ages. These knot designs expanded to include animals and other imagery, and even still these designs are used. And it's funny, the green image on the left right here, I don't know, it almost reminds me of Slytherin from Harry Potter or some sort of flag like that. Celtic art experienced a revival from the 18th century to the modern era, often associated with the Irish, to express self-identification and nationalism. Throughout Europe, the Romantic movement inspired a great revival of interest in folk tales and folk music, and even Beethoven was commissioned to produce a set of arrangements of Scottish folk songs. So there was a growing sense of Celtic identity that was encouraged and fed off of a rise in nationalism, which was especially intense in Ireland. The Irish literary revival encouraged the creation of works written in the spirit of Irish culture, as distinct from the English culture, finding inspiration in Irish history, myths, and folklore. And more recently, there's been a revival again in traditional Celtic art, and modern artist Jen DeLith creates original Celtic art inspired by the spirit of nature, Celtic mythology, and symbolism. So Jen's original Celtic work includes these meaningful images expressing deep and essential aspects of Celtic tradition. So of her three pieces here, from left to right is Anan, Lord of the Sea, and Bridget's Cross. So between just 1845 and 1855, more than 1.4 million people left Ireland to seek refuge in the US. So Celtic art evolved into symbolism associated with the Irish expressing self-identification and nationalism, and eventually became part of America's multicultural identity as well. For example, the Boston basketball team is the Celtics. And the name was chosen because, quote, Boston is full of Irishmen, according to team owner Walter Brown. And of course, St. Patrick's Day is observed throughout the US, showing the influence of Irish culture and Irish immigrants in America. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. That was great. Hey, Maureen, I've got this coloring book. Maybe we could drink some Irish whiskey later and do some coloring.
Let's do it.